It's my favorite thing.
Title card, a Goofy movie.
Dream sequence.
Yeah, the dream sequence.
Field of Grain.
There's a dream sequence that basically tells everybody that Max has a crush on this girl, Roxanne.
Yeah. As young, high school kids sometimes do.
Yeah. It sets the motivation for Max for the rest of the movie.
I don't know, is he high school? It's
high school, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a little bit more innocent in the movie than high schools these days.
Yeah, which is good.
The very
there's no Snapchat.
The awkward should I talk to her? Should I?
There's no hey, I saw your post on Instagram. There's none of that.
Yeah.
Max wakes up late for school. Goofy, his father.
Well, the dream.
Well-meaning.
Well, the dream has.
Oh, you're right. The dream also has Max quite literally turning into his father.
Yes.
Which turned his dream into a nightmare.
Starts with some giant teeth.
Yeah.
And then it turns into his yuck laugh.
Which tells you the entire story from Max's perspective is him trying to be himself to get a girl instead of being his dad.
He's worried about being
too much like his dad.
Too much like his dad.
Embarrassing for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. He's late for school. He's got big plans because he's not a very popular kid, as we learned from his opening number.
Yeah.
Getting to school.
After today, things are going to be different, he says.
Yeah. He gets bullied a little bit on the way to school. People are making fun of him. And they have a big old assembly talking about summer activities. The principal wants everybody to do summer classes or whatever.
Study and keep their brains motivated.
Yeah. Well,
what do you say? Science slumber parties.
Yeah. Good. What's that? What's that voice actor's name? He's so good.
Yeah, he is.
Where is he?
Principal Mazer.
Yeah, Wallace Shawn,
who's also
you'll absolutely recognize his voice. He's in The Princess Bride.
Yes.
The Incredibles, Gossip Girl, Young Sheldon recently.
Oh my gosh.
But he
so much.
He was one of the regular voices for Disney stuff for I'm still trying to scroll. He was Rex in Toy Story. He's just
iconic.
Yeah, very iconic voice, especially for 2000s Disney.
Yeah.
Or 90s to 2000s Disney.
Yeah.
And he's very cool. And then the class president, Stacy's like, I'm having a Powerline party for the Powerline concert pay-per-view. You can come to my house and we'll have a big party.
Sorry, I have to say the one line that I really like.
Okay, go ahead.
Assembly.
That's
was an
the
assembly in the cafeteria or in the gymnasium.
Auditorium.
Auditorium. Where the assembly is happening. When Stacy gets up there, some dude from the crowd, he's like, "Yo, Stacy, talk to me, baby." I'd say that part.
They have it in They have it in an extremely Goofy movie too.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. A callback to that one line. Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of
just nice. For you.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yo, Stacy.
So the assembly gets interrupted by an impromptu Powerline concert, which is so crazy.
Which is, well, to be fair, is probably the coolest thing that happened in that school year.
I'll be honest, yeah. I remember Sybil's reaction watching it for the first time, where she's like, "Oh no, something's gonna happen." Something bad's gonna happen because this is way too cool for this to not go terribly wrong. But no, it went really well. And Max made a name for himself instead of being that one goofy kid. Goofy's kid.
He's literally Goofy's kid.
He's literally Goofy's kid. He's that Powerline kid now. He's basically Powerline to the school.
He did the cool thing that nobody else could do.
Powerline's a fictional Michael Jackson character.
Yeah, pop star.
Yeah.
Top of his
massive star. Sybil thinks he's supposed to be Prince. That also makes sense.
That's actually true.
But he doesn't play guitar.
Yeah. That guy is actually, you should look him up. I mean, his voice is amazing. Yeah. And these two songs he did, Stand Out and...
Oh, you're talking about Eye to Eye? I thought you were talking about Prince. I was about to be one of the best guitarists to ever exist. What are you talking about? 2 songs?
talking about the guy who sang the songs in the movie.
Yeah, I
But
don't remember his name.
He does his thing. He kind of connects with Roxanne, and then at the end of the day, he's now singing a happy tune instead of the sad one he went to school with.
But the principal calls his dad.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, he talks to.
Well, not before
he
everybody in the
talks to
school
Roxanne
was
first.
Yeah, everybody in the school was shouting his name.
Yeah.
Max. And then of course,
And then Roxanne and him were supposed to go to Stacy's party together.
yeah.
And the Max goes home, celebrated.
Principal Mazer calls.
cool
like,
dude.
Your
Yeah,
son's up."
the principal calls Goofy and goes, "Your son, there's something wrong with this boy. He's in a gang and
Inciting
causing
riots.
inciting riots in the school." And Goofy's like, "I didn't know any of this was happening with my kid. I'm so out of touch."
And it was made worse by Pete. Right? Is that his name?
Yeah, Pete.
Pete, his boss, I guess, at the
Yeah.
this is dated. His job is literally to take photos
For kids.
in a grocery store or wherever
Yeah.
it is. Pete's his boss, but not really. He's a bad friend if he is a friend. But he was
he is a
kinda like-
friend.
Yeah, he literally put it in his head that like,
He's gonna end up
kids.
in jail.
yeah, if you don't discipline your kids harshly, then they'll end up. And then of course, then he gets the call, and then he already had that in his head.
Yeah.
So
And so Goofy's like, I got to do something about this kid, or else he's gonna end up in jail, and I'll never see him ever again. And look, the backstory to this, I don't know if you know this. Goofy is canonically a widow. His wife died. So he doesn't want to lose his only other family member. That's terrible. It also is probably why he's so well adjusted, because boss does different things to different people, and he
had to be
decided
strong.
he decided to grow from it.
yeah.
So what do you do when you need to discipline a kid who's probably in a gang and causing riots and is going to go to jail eventually if he doesn't stop? You take him on a family vacation.
Yeah. a
Just the
fishing
two
trip.
of you.
Yep.
And Goofy goes, I went on a fishing trip with my dad at about this age, and it changed my life, and he was my best friend. And so I'm going to do the same thing for Max and do the exact same thing. Go the exact same path, go to the exact same stops, and do everything together.
Yeah.
And this is where we get like Goofy's flaw, if you want to call it one, is that he wants to do things his way and wants to relive the past and like have his kid be his kid.
I think that's a flaw for every like parent. What was good for me is good for my
Yeah,
kid.
there's a growing moment.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily true. It's a different time that your kid lives in.
Yeah.
It's different stuff they're dealing with, and it requires you to have some awareness and try to understand that. Goofy's intentions are 100% pure, though. You know
Oh,
what I
for
mean?
sure. Yeah, he just wants to share
100% good
time with his son.
Yeah,
In a way that he shared with his dad, which would give him some
It makes
fun
sense.
nostalgia, and he
Yeah.
knows that it worked. So he was like, "Yeah, well, this can happen."
his logic tracks.
And so Max gets home. Goofy's packing up the car, and he goes, "Oh, hey, Dad, are you going on a trip?" And he goes, "Yep, with my best friend."
Yep.
And you said this earlier.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, with Donald Duck? No, with you, my son."
And then he has that
Oh no!
that moment where the camera pans in and goes back at the same time.
Yeah,
And he's like, "Oh shoot, no," because he had just set plans with his dream girl.
yeah. Which
They were
was
gonna do the
in like
thing.
2 weeks or something,
Yeah,
whatever it was. And he's like, "No, we can't do that. We can't do that at all." And he said, "We're going right now. No time to." Doesn't even get inside the house or pack or anything.
yeah.
Goofy has it all planned out. And so he gets in the car begrudgingly and forces his dad to stop at Roxanne's so that he can go, "Hey, I actually can't go with you to Stacy's party because I have to go with my dad." And she looks very sad and beaten up about it. And he's like, "To the Powerline concert because my dad knows Powerline. He's very cool. And I'm going to wave at you on stage when he pulls me up on stage."
Yeah.
Which is probably like the dumbest thing he could have ever possibly said as
Yeah.
like a gamble.
I don't imagine. Yeah, I mean, when you are lying, the odds in that specific situation were so slim and not in his favor.
Yeah, very small.
Yeah.
Very small, which is where we get to the first crux point of the story, right? Where
Yeah.
he could have gotten back in the car and gone, "Hey, Dad, I know this is your plan. Could we change it a little bit?" Because Goofy, 100% would have been like, "Yeah, sure. We'll figure something out."
Yeah.
But no, because Max decided not to communicate with his father,
This
things
is,
continue to go wrong.
but this is what I think about almost everything in life is that it just requires a little more communication, a little clarity, a little bit more confidence to say what's on your mind and say what you're thinking to someone else. And like, I don't
Max
know. Yeah.
sees his dad as overbearing. So the reason why he doesn't say that is because he believes that if he does that, his dad's going to go, "Well, we have plans."
Yeah, I mean, but that's we always, I think, we take what we know about a person, and sometimes we have them make decisions for themselves in our own heads before we give them a chance to actually make a decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so I think that's what was happening. I mean, it's normal parent-kid stuff, I think.
it is for sure. Which is why this movie works so well.
And then what we said, this will be the third like musical sequence, but this one is probably one of my favorite ones in the whole movie. It's one where they're actually on the road, on the highway.
The La La Land sequence.
Yeah, and it's of course Max is just like upset, sulking. Dad's trying to figure out, oh man, how can we make this fun? He's doing his best. He's such a good dad.
Yeah.
He's like, let's play some music. Let's play 20 questions. Like he's trying to figure. He's trying to connect.
He's trying to cheer his kid up.
Yeah.
Get talking. Make the road trip the enjoyable part of the trip.
Yeah.
And so they continue doing that, and Max continues to go down his self-pity path of like, I don't know how we're going to get this done.
Yeah.
They make a couple of stops. One to what is the in-universe equivalent of Country Bear Jamboree, which is the possum.
Lester's.
What is it called?
It's I forget the name of the place, but I know it's just the animatronic jamboree people. It's Lester's Possum Pals.
Yeah, that's right. And it is. We saw Country Bear Jamboree, and it is the exact same thing, just with possums. So, in my opinion, cooler
Possums?
than Country Bear Jamboree.
Oh yeah.
The possums are cooler.
That really sets the stage for like Max, like literally Max's worst fears. I think accumulate there in that moment where him and his dad are the center of attention at one point, and they're getting laughed at and making fun of.
Yeah.
And Goofy, being the sweet, kind-hearted, pure, gentle soul that he is like, look at all these people.
Yeah.
They're just having a good time
He
with
loves
us.
being himself and letting others enjoy it too.
Yeah, and Max is looking at everybody, and they're laughing at us. They think we're dumb and stupid. And yeah, there was a kid who was kind of being a jerk, and a few people were laughing.
Oh,
But
kids are jerks.
yeah,
Let's be real.
They are. I mean, Max, Exhibit A.
Yeah. I don't think there's any possible way for a kid is between the ages of like 10 and 17 to be not a jerk.
Yeah.
It's just physically not possible.
Yeah, and that's literally like where Max, he's like, he just yells at his dad, and he slams the door on the car and sits and pouts in the car again.
Yeah.
So
And that's where Goofy is once again like I don't know, we gotta try something else.
yeah,
He threw their hats on the ground.
he threw the possum hat. They were wearing possum hats,
Yeah.
which were upside down hats, so they looked like they were roadkill.
Yeah. That was the cute thing there.
But he threw it down, stomped on it, or maybe didn't stomp on it, but he just
So what does Goofy do to solve this problem? Obviously go camping.
yep.
And this is where we meet up again with Pete, who shows up in a very lavish RV, which is the only way I will go camping. With his son.
Literally has a freaking pool and a bowling alley on the roof.
Yeah. Awesome. That's my ideal camping vision right there.
Yeah.
So everything's there. Satellite television,
Yeah.
internet. My son vacuuming the inside, listening to Powerline. And Pete once again reiterates if you want to get your kids in order, you need to keep them under
your thumb.
Under your thumb.
And uses his son as an example who will
immediately just show up almost in fear, which
Yeah.
was my experience growing up too. Was me being called and me being like, "Fuck, I got it. Yes, sir. I'm right here."
Yeah. At your service. What
do you
whatever
need?
you beckon.
And I feel comfortable talking about all of this growing up trauma because if my dad ever watches, he and I have already talked about all of this stuff. So, but my dad,
Also, you could probably take him these days.
no, no, my dad is much more in shape than I am currently. But my dad was the type of dad that would like. I remember him flexing his authority to my stepmom, who was not my stepmom yet at the time, where he was like, "Hey, watch this," and would call me from upstairs, like shouting my name from across the house.
Yeah.
Have me run all the way downstairs, where I go, "Yes, sir." And he'd go, "Can you grab the remote for me from my side table?" While he's sitting in arm's reach of it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
he did not do that ever again. Who knows why? It was my stepmom.
Yeah.
She did not think that was as cool as he thought it was.
Yeah.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah, I also don't think that's cool.
I don't either. I love thinking that I did something wrong just to hand something to somebody that they could have reached for themselves.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's the best tactic from parent to child relationship, which we
No.
see with Pete.
Yeah,
and
we
his
see
son.
that with Pete. That's pretty much exactly how Pete treats his son. And Max gives Goofy a little bit of lip about wanting to go again,
And Goofy says, "Get out."
yeah,
That's
like the
called
movie Get Out. No, he says we're leaving, get in the car, basically. And Max is like, "Fine, whatever, Dad." And then Goofy feels really bad about it and does not do it
because
ever
he's-
again.
Because he's so sweet and pure.
He's like, "This is not the way to parent. This is not the way I want to be a parent."
Yeah.
And then, while
go
they
fishing.
were talking, Max and his friend PJ, Pete Jr., talk about how everyone's talking about how Max is going to the Powerline concert. He's like, "That's so cool. I didn't know that you were going to do that." And he's like, "Yeah, PJ, I'm not. I don't know what I'm doing. We're going not even in that direction." And so
Yeah.
PJ was like, "Yeah, your life's basically over if you don't do this." And so that puts Max on edge too. And he doesn't want to camp, so he wants to stay in the RV, and that's just kind of how all that goes.
The weight of the decisions he's made is weighing heavy on him.
Yeah, very heavy. It's not like he, caused it for
Which
himself.
which is funny. I think that's also just really true of, I think, people in general, but like especially teenagers.
Yeah,
The problems are
all
self-created.
self-inflicted for
Yeah.
sure.
So he's definitely stressed out because of them.
Mm-hmm. They get caught by Bigfoot somehow.
Well,
That's a whole thing that happens.
Yeah, they actually start to fish.
Oh,
And he's
they
like,
go
"I'm going to
fishing.
teach you."
the perfect
perfect
cast.
cast.
Yes, that's an important part of it.
And of course, it's it's cartoon, so he starts his cast with a hook with no bait on it. When he throws the rod back, it
That's why
lands
it's
on
the perfect cast.
yeah,
You
it
don't
lands
need
on it lands on Pete's grill where he's cooking a steak. Snatches the steak. And he flings it halfway across the country into where Bigfoot is. And then Bigfoot chases the steak until they're at their campsite.
And then
he starts wreaking
Bigfoot
havoc.
bullies them for like the entire night to the point where they're sleeping in the car and can't leave because the keys aren't in the car.
Yeah, they hide in their car, which is this is the scene of a really emotional
Yeah, they fight
situation
with each other.
there. Yeah, and so but they seek refuge in the car where they're safe from Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Which if Bigfoot was as big as strong as we're led to believe, I'm sure he could just rip the doors off and
Probably.
and stuff like that. But apparently this
I know I could.
apparently the panels on this door are made out of vibranium or something.
Yeah.
Because Bigfoot just like slams into it and bounces off, and then he just starts messing with their
Over
stuff.
and over and over too.
Yeah,
He's a big guy.
yeah. So he's doing
Big feet.
Yeah, so he's going through their music. He throws the car keys into the woods somewhere.
They both Goofy and Max get real stressed out about the whole situation.
Yeah, and then they're just kind of chilling a little bit, and they're like, I don't know, is he gone? And then all of a sudden he starts doing sock puppets in front of the windshield screens.
It's all a very silly time.
Yeah, but then because they're in the car together, they have to talk.
Mhm.
And Goofy kind of just reminisces about, the simpler times when Max was younger. And
Yeah, they only had a can of soup to share
Yeah,
between
he
the two
was-
of them, and
yep.
Goofy starts chuckling because it's alphabet soup.
yeah,
And he said, you used to write things in the soup for me to see,
yeah,
like
he's-
I love you, Dad.
yeah, he was like, it's Hi Dad soup, you remember? And he was like,
Or yeah,
no,
Hi
I
Dad.
don't.
It's
It's
Hi
like, you
Dad
used to write
soup.
me notes, and you say, hi or whatever, or I love you, and then it's like, ooh, that's weird.
So which you don't say anymore.
Yeah. But, at the end of it, Max is, Goofy doesn't eat any of the soup, of course, because he gives it to Max because he's hungry.
Yeah.
And Max, before he turns over to go to sleep, he spells out "Hi, Dad" in the bottom of his cup.
Which is very sweet, if not for the fact that immediately afterwards he waits for his dad to fall asleep so that he can change his precious map that has precious memories to go to the next destination.
Well, he couldn't sleep because apparently his dad and Bigfoot snore
Yeah.
like crazy. Couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
So he's just bloodshot eyes, and he's like, I cannot sleep. So he starts writing a postcard to Roxanne.
That says that he lied, and
The first one
They
is
won't
like, I
make it.
lied, I'm sorry. And then he's like, no, that's not going to turn out well. So he's like, hey, we're on our way to the Powerline concert. And he's like, no, that's not it either. And then he, in frustration, he hits the dash, and the glove box opens up, and the
With
map
the map.
comes out.
Yeah.
And it's all shining bright. And then the pencil
shows the,
Yeah,
the California.
it rolls out of the glove box and rolls around with the point facing L.A. And that's where he has his second great idea.
Yeah.
First line to Roxanne about going to
And the second one is now lying to his dad and changing precious memories. Which, when that happened, Sybil was pissed because she is very, very particular about her precious items. And if somebody fucks with any of them, they're basically dead.
Yeah, and that's what he was doing to
That's what was happening.
his dad's.
So Sybil
map.
was pissed.
I mean, his dad's basically his
Personally,
dad's childhood.
personal vendetta against Max on that one.
Yeah, and so
And so they wake up the next morning, and Max is freaking out because he's like, I'm going to get caught. It's so obvious.
he's guilt. Yeah, it's just the guilt.
And Goofy goes, oh, Max is really stressed out. You know what? I need him to be more engaged in the trip. Max, you're now in charge of the map. Wherever we go is up to you at this point.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
because
was a crazy, like, I like to think that he knew in that moment. I like to think that he knew, and he was like, you know what, man? Whatever. If you want to go somewhere else, we'll go somewhere else.
man,
Without knowing that he changed the
yeah,
map.
that's how we know that Goofy's still so good, because he was like, he was observant enough to know, okay, this isn't working. Let me
So let's change it
strategy.
up.
And so he's like, well, instead of stopping where I want to stop, because what do they do, that big giant yarn ball or whatever?
Yeah.
And Max was like, ugh. And
So
he's
they
like,
go
you
to a
pick.
bunch of different places.
Yeah, and then
It's very sweet.
And Max does the same thing. He's like, we'll do a roller coaster, and his dad's just not feeling
Yeah.
it. And then he's like, okay, well, let's go do something for you. And you know what?
And so it switches off, and it's very sweet, and they're actually
very
bonding really well.
Yeah.
And then they end up at a motel where they once again meet up with Pete again.
Yeah.
And PJ and Max talk about how they're actually heading towards California, and he changed the map and all of this. And Pete overhears it, and Goofy was bragging to him a little bit before that about how his way doesn't work, and that just
He's
like,
going to do it. Yeah, he's gonna
doing
do
it his way.
Yeah.
And so Pete rolls up to Goofy after hearing that and goes, hey, so you trust your kids so much, huh? Have you checked the map? Have you checked the map if you trust him so much? You should probably check the map because I think that he changed it. And he goes, you know what, Pete? I don't believe you. And you know what? I trust my son. So I'm not going to look at it because I trust my son.
And that was Goofy's first mistake.
That was Goofy's first mistake. And so Goofy ends up in the car and, you know, I guess...
I think it was another thing. In frustration, he kind of hit the steering wheel and the glove box popped open.
Yeah.
Glove box was very weak. They need to get that fixed. It
They
keeps
do.
popping over in the most inopportune times whenever the plot needs
Curiosity
to
got
progress.
the best of him, so he looked.
He
And
did.
to his absolute heartbreaking dismay,
Oh, my gosh. His
his
poor
son
precious
lied to
little
him.
heart.
Son lied to him.
Classic teenager.
And he went to bed, and he was obviously distraught. And Max noticed, and the next morning Max did everything in his power to be like, no, everything's fine.
Yeah, Dad,
doing
20,
okay.
20 questions, or, you know,
Yeah.
you want to, do
And so Goofy was, it basically came down to them turning either direction.
to Lake
to-
Destiny, Idaho, or
Yeah.
to L.A.
Yep, which is, an
actual
obvious
literal forklift. or fork, not a forklift.
Yeah,
a fork
in the road.
A fork in the road, not a forklift.
Which again is another one of those.
A
He would've-
forklift
He
in the
would have
road.
known in the moment anyway.
Yeah.
But now it's come to this. They both know which one is he going to choose, and Max picks L.A.
He
and-
chooses himself selfishly.
Yeah, and Goofy gets very disappointed in that. And then
Very
a
hurt,
lot of
very hurt.
hijinks happens.
so many.
So much hijinks. They fall off of a cliff with the car. And
Yeah, Goofy, as soon as he can pull off and stop the car, he does because he's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, the car. Yeah, they're in the river.
The car drives off. They're in the
Yeah.
river. They get swept away.
they
They have a moment with each other.
Yeah, they're yelling at each other, and then they're quiet, and they're singing.
Yeah.
Nobody
They're having
else but you.
Yeah. They're having the one scene from SpongeBob with Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob, where SpongeBob's at the chum bucket. They're both singing to each other from a distance.
Oh, okay.
It's that thing.
Yeah.
Everybody my age knows what I'm talking about. Simple's shaking her head
I've seen
now.
it.
You've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
A patty is a patty. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
She's in now. She understands. And they basically come to an understanding
They
that,
hug, and they're like, you know what,
yeah,
we're good.
Goofy knows, you know what? My son is an individual. He does have his own things. And this is important to him.
Yeah,
So it's important to me.
he's like, I want
Like
to
a good parent would. Like a good
Yeah.
parent would.
And because Max says the line that we all say to our parents, I believe, is, I'm old now. I'm older now. I have my own life.
Yeah.
And then Goofy was just like, well, I just want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Very sweet. Very sweet. And so he makes the choice.
He does.
And I believe that that's a moment for the parents who are watching the movie where Goofy goes,
Or
if I
watching-
want
or
to be
watching
a
us
part
all.
of it,
Yeah.
it's not to force them to be who I want them to
Or
be.
do
It's for
things
me
my way.
to
Right. Yeah.
include myself in what they're doing
Yeah.
instead. That's a life lesson for you, parents. I'm saying it very directly because apparently 30 years later, people still aren't getting the message.
Yeah. They're
So-
not. They keep making the same mistakes.
Someone has to point it out to them in plain English.
I think more people need to watch a Goofy movie and then watch this review of it.
They
they're
just
not
can't
doing
stop watching their dang phone all the time.
I don't know. Well, they can watch it on their phone if they really wanted to.
They could, but it's longer than like 18 seconds, so it probably won't.
Yeah.
Probably won't make it.
True.
I
But
made,
that's why they keep making the same mistakes, because they're not watching a Goofy
I made fun of
movie.
my dad earlier for having an instant gratification thing, and I was like, "You dang boomers and your instant gratification." He's not a boomer; he's a Gen Xer.
Oh. Okay.
But he took it a millennially. Literally.
Oh.
I was like, "No, I'm making
Still
fun of your
hit a little close to
generation."
home.
I was making fun of your generation for making fun of the millennials.
Yeah, they like to do that, don't they?
Yeah, way too much.
Yep.
Take a note from Goofy's book.
I know.
So somehow they end up at the Powerline concert, and Goofy
Well-
has this actual good idea to get them in backstage.
Well, let's take it back a little bit. They're on the river. The river turns into a waterfall,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes over the edge, basically.
Yeah, and they die,
Yeah, at the end.
and the rest of it's a fever dream.
No, yeah. Yeah. No. Obviously Goofy does everything he can to save Max. He tries to.
Oh yeah.
He has his fishing rod. Max gets tangled in some
Max
some
also.
cloth, who it turns out, he tangles it in such a perfect way that it turns out to be like a little parachute
Which is
for him
great.
as they go over.
Yeah,
And,
Max does the perfect
does
cast
the
to
perfect
save his
cast.
dad.
Yeah, he does, and he does save him. And then of course he has the happiest eyes in the whole movie, like,
Yes,
"Oh, perfect
he
cast,
did
buddy.
it. I did it.
You did the
Yeah.
thing." And then they somehow end up
Yeah, and then they're just immediately at
in
the
LA
Powerline
at
concert,
The Powerline concert.
which goes against your perfect pacing thing you said earlier.
Yeah,
It just kind of rushes to it, but like
it does.
it's not bad. I wish they would have been like, "Wow, we made it out of this, and we're in California," which I feel like would have just at least tied it in.
It literally cuts to like a box truck
Yeah,
And then they're
And they're
throwing in
in-
like musical cases.
Yeah,
like
and they're in
just
the
throwing them
cases.
and they're inside the musical cases somehow.
Yeah, like they cut out a scene or something that explains that.
Yeah,
I like to think it was Goofy's plan to hide in the instrument cases.
yeah, definitely. It was definitely Goofy's
Yeah,
plan.
and they end up back there, but they get separated.
Yeah,
Goofy ends up in the weird ball that Powerline enters in.
no.
Ends up on stage while Max is being chased down by security.
Yeah,
Very reminiscent of the opening scene, not the opening scene, but the like inciting incident scene.
yeah. There's one scene in there it's classic. It's so funny, where Goofy's opening doors and he sees the
The
one
lady.
lady dressing, and he was like, "Oh," and she's like, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh." He's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh."
Very, very silly.
It's so funny, very funny.
And then Goofy ends up on stage and is like,
Yeah, he ends
I
up in
don't
the.
know what to
I
do.
think- yeah, I think that girl that he walked in on was supposed to
Just
be in
chase-
the thing, and
yeah.
he got in it, and then
Yeah.
it goes up to the stage, and all of a sudden he's just
And
in this ball.
Powerline, like an absolute legend,
Dude,
just continues on with the
just
show.
feeling the vibes. He's like, okay, like
Yeah,
this
whatever.
Guy's not
Yeah,
supposed to
let's
be
do
here,
it.
But let's see what he's got.
And Max from the rafters getting chased by security goes, "Dad, do the perfect cast," because it makes for a really funky little dance move.
yeah,
And so there's Goofy on the TV while all of his friends are back home watching, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's Max's dad!"
yeah.
And then Max ends up down there, and they're all doing the perfect cast together, and they're like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, Max is there!"
Just like he said, he's
Yeah, just like he
he's
said.
the best.
Yeah. So he's the hero. And then we cut to the exact next moment that
Yeah.
every parent wants to watch,
Mhm.
which is what I like to think after the conversation they had on the way back, which was Goofy going, if you really like this girl, you have to tell her you lied to her.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what he does. They pull up to Roxanne's house, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're so cool." And he goes, "Yeah."
Well, somehow they still
About
have
that.
the car.
Yeah.
Even though it went over a waterfall and it still
Somehow.
drove all the way back across the country
Mhm.
somehow.
Yeah. And he apologizes to Roxanne, and she's like, "Oh, well, I mean, you still did it, and it was really, like, I really like you. You didn't have to pull all of that."
Yeah, he did that. He did the whole "I lied because I like you,"
And she said, "Yeah, you didn't have to do that."
but then like also okay, it makes me feel special.
Yeah. And then he did a little Goofy yuck,
He did do a hey yeah.
and he said, "I'm so sorry." And she said, "No, I like it.
She was like, the first time I heard you laugh like that.
That's why I like it.
Yeah.
That's why I started liking you." And he was like, "Oh,
Have you met?
have you met my dad?"
I
that's-
got it from my dad.
Yep. And that's the Goofy movie. Hey. You look good over there.
Look real good.
Have you thought about sharing your kindness with others?
Share the love.
Maybe like the video. Click on that subscribe button. And show your friends.
Yeah, just touch it ever so lightly, that like button. Move over to the subscribe button. Maybe tap your keyboard just a little bit. Leave a comment. Bye.
That's it.